Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star episode number 133 based on novel. So let's start. China year 2066 July 17th, the date of the arena fights. In the previous stage within the 100 worlds, there was no live broadcast. This led to the Gunwu universe countries over 1.3 trillion star fields, with countless universe citizens being completely anxious and nervous. After all, they could only see the rankings and not the battle itself. The start of the arena fights, however, was open for people to actually watch and spectate. This led to the sale of the arena tickets being extremely competitive as they were selling like hotcakes. The arena wars were separated into 1,000 groups. And 200 groups would battle every day. The first day was the first group to group 200. The three Black Dragon Mountain Empire participants that made it through the first round of elimination, Naibi, Hong and Luofeng, of which Naibi was in group 32, Hong was in group 161 and Luofeng in group 382. Hence both Naibi and Hong were in the arena wars on the first day, while Luofeng's group was scheduled for the second day. The virtual universe specially opened up a space with a vast endless river coursing through it. This extremely wide river that flowed through the entire space filled with islands. Every island had a dojo. These arena fights were to be held in these dojos. Island 01932. Within the dojo, there were countless spectators, and it was impossible to see the end of them. Amongst the spectators were Luofeng, Hong, Thunder God and their families. There's way too many people. Daddy, this dojo is huge. Ping Ping, who had his hair combed neatly as it parted down the middle, exclaimed, the area of the dojo is about 100 square kilometers. Luofeng smiled, it can hold a maximum of 1 billion spectators. 1 billion? Ping Ping and Little Hai, the two children, were shocked. Actually, just a football stadium on Earth could hold up to 100,000 people. In this kind of space created just by the virtual universe, with huge dojos on every island, while accommodating 1 billion people was an easy thing to do. Compared to a football stadium on Earth, its area was at least 100 to a few hundreds of times bigger in length and width. Sister-in-law. Sitting behind, Shugan laughed, this arena battle has just begun and we rushed to get the tickets, however we still failed to get any. Luckily you have tickets, otherwise we'd have to watch the broadcast, it is very competitive. My office workers too haven't been able to get tickets. Luo Hua nodded, there's over 100 million galaxies in the entire Gunwu universe country. From each and every galaxy, even if just 10 people bought the tickets, it is more than enough for the tickets to become sold out. Luofeng said, naturally, the sale will be intense. Big brother and I made it through the elimination. Hence we have the privilege to buy first. This is the only reason we got a few tens of tickets. Just one ticket alone was hard to get. The atmosphere in the dojo was incredibly passionate. 1 billion people from over 100 million galaxies all gathered together. Just what kind of scene was it? Fortunately, it was in the virtual universe. If this was in the real world, just the number of staff members required to manage them would be troublesome. Attention all. A sweet and clear voice resounded throughout the billion spectators' ears. The humans from Earth in the stands turned to look. Standing in the center of the dojo was a smoking hot brown-haired young lady dressed in a tight armor. As the distance was too far, the spectators couldn't even see her clearly. Hence, in mid-air a huge virtual image appeared, allowing the spectators to see clearly. The battle that's about to begin will be the 32nd group in the arena wars. Let me introduce the 100 geniuses from the 32nd group. 1 SD, Long Suo, from the Boya Empire. Previously, in the 82nd world, he was ranked 12. The beautiful brown-haired young lady's clear voice resounded in the 1 billion spectators' ears. Beside the current screen, a second screen floated in mid-air and the image as well as simple information regarding the genius Long Suo was displayed. Long Suo. Long Suo. The entire dojo suddenly burst out in cheers. All that could be seen was a large portion of the dojo was filled with people going crazy and cheering, shouting out loudly Long Suo's name. Their cheers resounded like thunder. 2 ND, 3 Road, the geniuses were all introduced one by one. Finally, that brown-haired lady smiled and said, Number 86, Naibi, from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Previously, in the 21st world he was ranked 860. Beside, the screen displayed Naibi's image and information. Rumble Luofeng felt as though his surroundings had exploded or something. Cheers that rumbled even the mountains and seas were heard as a large portion of the spectators around him were excitedly cheering Naibi. Naibi. The cheers sounded as loud as thunder. Immersed in such an environment, it caused many to be unable to help but cheer and shout along. Ping Ping and Little Hai beside were waving their fists too, shouting till their faces turned red, Nabini, Nabini. Everybody's cheering like crazy. Luofeng, Hong and Thunder God all laughed. The arrangement of the spectators was in accordance to the star field they came from. Hence, Luofeng's surroundings were all spectators from the Black Dragon Mountain star field. And the participant geniuses and the various star fields they came from would all get special privileges when they bought the tickets. According to theory, with 1 billion tickets sold among the many star fields, every star field would not even get 100,000 tickets. However, if the star field had an active participant, then that star field was allowed 1 million tickets. Because of Nabini's participation, the Black Dragon Mountain star field was awarded 1 million tickets. This was the reason why there were 1 million citizens from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire in the audience. The previous cheers belonged to the other star fields. But now that the participant from the Black Dragon Mountain star field was announced, these 1 million people all excitedly shouted and roared. 1 million people cheering, it was like an ocean altogether. This Nabini is quite handsome. Thunder God said softly and laughed. Nabini had a pigtail, and his entire person seemed like a leopard. I've checked his background, it's not bad. Hong lifted his wrist and the screen on it displayed a bit of Nabini's background. Oh? Luofeng looked at it. Nabini was originally from an aboriginal planet, leading a savage life of eat or be eaten and battled against wild beasts from a young age. Actually, this planet was one of the territories of the Palace family, and it was specially used to cultivate special beasts that were used for training and war. Secretly monitoring this planet, the family discovered that there was a child who actually had shocking power. They immediately knew he was a treasure. They immediately sent people to take this Nabini aboriginal away. Since then, Nabini had stepped into the civilized ways of society and very quickly became a citizen of the empire. Somehow, he also became somewhat of a young master within the Palace family. The Palace family, a business family that owned a few tens of life planet territory, was not much in the vast universe. Ironically, the Palace family had offended a few enemies and aggravated a few large and powerful families to attack them, and the enemies actually had universe-level warriors. In a galaxy, a universe-level warrior was considered the land's emperor. The Palace family thus began to crumble. This battle, however, attracted the attention of a wandering sector lord. During the battle, that sector lord had noticed that Nabini had amazing talent and immediately stepped in to stop the slaughter. The sector lord's intervention made it so that the enemy family were too terrified to even resist, hence the Palace family survived. The sector lord took in Nabini as his disciple and brought him to the Black Dragon Mountain sacred land. Since then, Nabini lived in the sacred land and the rate of his strength increase grew even faster. He was the Black Dragon Mountain sacred land's most exceptional genius. Aboriginal? Luofeng exclaimed, actually we too are aboriginals, right? Hong nodded. I realized that I have a good feeling about this Nabini. Thunder God chuckled. During Luofeng and his brother's conversation, that beautiful lady in the center of the dojo was revving up the crowd and atmosphere, excitedly shouting, attention all! Attention all! The arena wars will begin immediately. Everybody, please count down together with me for those in anticipation of this pinnacle genius battle. 10, 9, 8, 3, 2, 1, rumble. The entire dojo erupted and in the center human silhouettes appeared. It was the 100 geniuses that were introduced to everyone before from the different star fields, Nabini, Chi Te Laku, Long Suo. Different cheers immediately erupted within the dojo. The cheers and roars of the dojo were almost like a shockwave. Luofeng took one look and noticed Nabini amidst the 100. With a pigtail, his gaze was fierce, almost like a hunting cheetah. He carried 2 long and narrow blades on his back. He was also cautious and prudent as he paid attention to everybody. Let the war begin. A low voice resounded within the 1 billion spectators and the participants' minds. Silence. The dojo was suddenly silent, and the 100 geniuses in the center too made their moves immediately. Beams of lights lit up as the geniuses all dodged and moved swiftly. The unleashed domains too caused the entire dojo to be covered in multicolored radiance. The colorful energy waves revolved about, and the geniuses were all either dodging and fleeing or exchanging blows. Everything was as fast as lightning. The war was very dangerous because one had to defend against sneak attacks. That Nabini is sly indeed. From the spectators, Thunder God's eyes gleamed. It doesn't matter, every single one of them are just as clever. Luofeng's eyebrows creased. The space in which the geniuses were battling in was constantly shrinking, forcing those on flying spirit weapons to have no way to flee far enough. The geniuses were constantly dying off. The number of deaths rose constantly. 8, 14, 29, 36. This caused the 1 billion audience members of many star fields to watch with bated breaths, some even with long sighs. However, the intense battle still caused everybody to hold their breaths and not make any loud noises. Naibi held his two blades and his entire person became a gust of wind as he madly defended against the enemy's spirit weapon. When Naibi was engaged with this other spirit reader, from the distance another genius flew over, simultaneously controlling a cone spirit weapon to become a beam of lightning and shooting over. With the lightning shooting over, Naibi dodged while using his left blade to block. The lightning caused Naibi's left blade to be knocked away and he revealed a look of shock. That's strength, it's too strong. That lightning followed closely and pierced through his forehead. Naibi died. The number of deaths swiftly continued to rise, 73, 78, 82, 89, 90. The 30-second group arena war has ended. The number of dead and eliminated is 90, the remaining 10 have the right to enter the 900 slots name list. A low voice resounded within the 10 survivors and 1 billion spectators. All the spectators in the stands finally let out all sorts of noises, be it sighs, rage or even excited cheers. Naibi has been eliminated. Thunder God shook his head. His strength belonged to the lowest of the 100. The only reason why he survived past the first half was because he was sly and clever. Hong shook his head. Being eliminated too is normal. I'm afraid I wouldn't do much better than him. Big brother, do you think I still don't know anything about you? Thunder God smiled. I still remember back during the Great Nirvana, you and I both were young, and we met with danger time and time again. Even in the most dire of situations, you always made the impossible possible. Don't flatter me. Hong said, let it go, big brother, let them see the skills of us humans from Earth. Thunder God said. Luofeng too was anticipating, watching Hong. Hong looked at Thunder God before turning to look at Luofeng. I can only try my best. Hong revealed a smile. The 3 from Black Dragon Mountain Empire that made it through the elimination were able to participate in the arena war. Naibi, however, had already been eliminated. One had to know that this arena war was broadcasted live. Among the trillions of people in the Black Dragon Mountain starfield that had watched this battle, many were enraged and broke wine glasses or bottles, and many more were angry and unsatisfied. That punk from the BU Luo starfield is too treacherous. He actually snuck an attack on Naibi. That bastard. Naibi shouldn't have lost. He should have been able to make it into the top 10,000 in today's arena war. Our Black Dragon Mountain Empire still has Hong. Hong will definitely win. He'll definitely be able to make it into the Ganwu Universe country's top 10,000. Brother, that Hong was among the lowest of the ranks that made it through the first elimination. For him to survive in the arena, that's going to be very hard. I think Luofeng has the biggest chance that Luofeng will definitely make it through. As for Hong, he too will be able to do it. Who knows, maybe he purposely hid his true powers during the elimination. Virtual Universe, Dojo number 10389. About 3 hours after watching Naibi's arena war, the 161st group battle in Dojo 10389 was about to begin. The entire dojo was filled with cheers and roars, and the beautiful commentator was introducing every genius one by one with a small description. Number 93, Hong, from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, ranked 982 in the 72nd elimination world. The beautiful lady introduced Hong. In a particular region among the spectators, over 1 million people from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire shouted loudly, almost as though they were declaring, this genius Hong was from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. And amongst the cheering crowd, Luofeng and Thunder God creased their eyebrows. Big trouble. Thunder God said softly, I didn't expect that savage would be there, right? Luofeng too held his breath and waited, as he worried for his big brother. Everyone was powerful, having been able to make it into the arena battles. Especially the group in which Hong was in, with the savage that had killed his second brother before. Very quickly, the countdown began and the dojo roared as 100 absolute geniuses appeared in the center. Big brother. Luofeng picked him out with a single glance. Within the dojo, Hong carried in his hand a long pike, his gaze cautious as it swept his surroundings. This circular arena spanned a diameter of about 30 kilometers. During the course of the battle, the space would constantly shrink, forcing the faster-flying people to have nowhere to dodge. After about 15 minutes, the area would shrink to a diameter of only 1 meter. Hence every arena war battle would at most last for 15 minutes. Amongst these 100, the strongest should be savage. Hong swept his gaze past the 99 others, his mind swiftly picturing the information he had seen before. Also there are 3 others that are very strong. First engage with the weaker ones and survive, then fight and risk it all after. Hong quickly remembered the information. He was very clear that if he fled far at the start, he would definitely become the targets of the absolute geniuses. It would be better for him to mix in the crowd at the start. As for surviving in this war, Hong was pretty confident. Let the battle begin. A low booming voice resounded within everyone in the dojo's minds. With a shrinking area of 30 kilometers, the arena would only have a diameter of 1 m left in 15 minutes. Rumble, rumble. Mad amounts of energy flows erupted. The 100 geniuses within the dojo swiftly began their battles. Receive my blow. That messy-haired, tall and sturdy youth roared. His bare feet only took 1 step, and yet he managed to close a 100 m distance. That fierce slash sliced towards a spirit reader, who didn't seem to expect such speed from the opponent. He was shocked as he tried to dodge while using his spirit weapon to block. Clang! The short blade cut down. His power couldn't be blocked. It was akin to a mountain crushing down on one. That spirit weapon was knocked aside, and the short blade immediately sliced through that spirit reader's head, causing it to split open into 2. Ha ha, ha ha, the tall and sturdy man laughed. Walking barefoot, every step he took allowed him to travel a large distance. His instant increase in speed was very fast, faster than even most flying spirit readers. Surround and kill him, everybody team up and kill him first. Someone shouted. 2 spirit weapons shot over. Dang! Dang! The short blade moved in a waving motion, easily blocking the 2 spirit weapons and knocking them far away. Surround and kill me. The tall and sturdy youth was like a monster, actually traveling amidst the crowd, making the 10 or so that wanted to kill him unable to surround him. On the contrary, that youth very quickly settled half of that group. This savage's path was simply a slaughter. Even though these 100 were all absolute geniuses, no one could actually match up against this savage. This battle, there was no doubt the most outstanding was Savage. Other than Savage, there was a lady whose performance was also extraordinary. She was dressed in armor and was incomparably valiant. One could tell just from her figure that this was an extremely sexy and hot beauty. However, her aura and her gaze were filled with brutality. Also, her kills were all clean, making it so that no one could tell that she was a lady. Wielding the long pike, Hong was engaged in battles amongst a group of geniuses. One could only see geniuses falling down dead one after another. Hong, however, was still alive. His pike was like lightning, swiftly and suddenly piercing through a genius's forehead from the back. Hong's expression after killing someone didn't waver at all. He still remained amidst the crowd, as his pike danced around, seemingly normal. However, multiple attempts from many spirit weapons were unable to pierce his defense. Time passed and the deaths rose to 60, 61, 62 as the numbers shrank. The group battles too lessened. That valiant lady stared straight at Hong. In the universe, there were many that used such pike weapons. However, those that used pike weapons normally picked the hard and sturdy ones. The one Hong used, however, seemed more flexible. The moment it began to dance around, it was like a huge snake, extremely peculiar, interesting. The valiant lady wielded her 2 blades and flew straight at Hong. Not good. Hong's expression changed. During the group battles, he had long observed and come to the conclusion that within this group, that lady warrior was definitely one of the top 3. Only Savage was a little stronger than her. He didn't expect her to start rushing towards him. However, since the enemy was rushing over, there was no way to dodge. He could only invite the battle. Ang! The pike revolved, just like a loach in water, swift and nimble as it immediately pierced towards that lady warrior that was rushing over. Interesting, interesting. The lady warrior's eyes were filled with excitement, as her body emanated a green energy. The waves wrapped around the 2 arc blades. She began to wave them and the blades danced about, slashing towards the tip of the pike, causing a formless revolving energy to be transmitted onto the pike. Hong's expression changed abruptly and he immediately retracted his pike fiercely. As soon as he did that, with an explosive sound he raised the pike with his hand, and almost like an axe, he fiercely chopped down at the lady warrior. The lady's entire being became a fierce torrent of water flow, as an arc blade fiercely received that strong attacking force from the pike, following which she stuck closely to Hong and continued her attack. In an instant Hong felt like he was almost sucked into a whirlpool and unable to escape. This lady warrior already has some comprehension of the water origin laws. I'm in big trouble. Hong was panicking. The ancient Chinese culture had always heavily emphasized the 5 elements of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth. Even though Hong walked the path of the light domain, he had a very clear understanding about the laws of water. However, understanding it was one thing, Whether he could actually outmatch her was another. If she's like water, I'll become like stone. Hong didn't have a choice. He grit his teeth and the surrounding light warped and his entire being became extremely glaring. The pike's speed immediately raised another gear. Once the pike was fully unleashed, it was like a tortoise shell, without any openings at all. Dang. 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 The Lady Warrior's water origin lore-infused slashes were all extremely heavy and powerful, giving off tremors that Hong felt as though they were impossible to block. If one had not stepped through the gateway of origin laws, one is useless after all. Hong suddenly understood this logic. Hong. In the 1 billion filled dojo, many Black Dragon Mountain Starfield people were very nervous. And there were even more people watching through the broadcast. Virtual universe, Black Dragon Mountain Island above, floating island, those that lived in the floating island were all at least a universe level. On a particularly large but simple-looking villa, within one of its living rooms, a man sat there who was dressed in a dark red robe. There was a lightning mark on his forehead. This person was one of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire's most powerful sector lords, Jiang Qianchen. And beside him, there was a kind-looking old man with a head full of white. This black-clothed punk is from our Black Dragon Mountain Empire? The old man seemed interested. His light domain, from the looks of it, seems to be level 6 or so. However, he is really a genius at battle. His flexible but strong pike is actually able to allow him to unleash his domain to this level. This is even comparable to those domain level 8 punks. Domain level 8 was not necessarily stronger than domain level 7. It all relied on one's ability to unleash its strength. One theory. Maybe one had a comprehension of the origin laws. However, what determined the strength in a battle was the knowledge of how to actually use the laws in battle. For example, Luofeng, using the soaring shuttle when compared to the Nanshan armament, the power was completely different. That was because, through the Nanshan armament he was able to actually let his comprehension of the origin laws explode. Yes, Head General, he is from our empire. Jiang Qianchen said respectfully. The old man smiled. Head General, that title, if any other sector lord from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire heard that, they would be shocked. In the Three Axe Mountain organization, a sector lord's rank was that of general. And the Three Axe Mountain organization had 3 original founders. Only these 3 founders had the right to be called head general. Three Axe Mountain, as a leader of the 4 large organizations within the Black Dragon Mountain Starfield, even the Sacred Land Black Dragon Mountain and Ice Leviathan Sacred Land wouldn't be willing to mess with it, because of the 3 founding members of the Three Axe Mountain. The 3 founding members were all awarded the Domain Lord, Huge Axe, title when they were young. A Domain Lord Huge Axe Warrior, when compared to the universe-level Huge Axe title, was much rarer, at least 1,000 to 10,000 times rarer. Although the 3 of them came from different star fields, they got along extremely well, even becoming bosom friends in life and death. Because the 3 of them had the title of Huge Axe Warrior, they decided to build the organization Three Axe Mountain. They were made of 2 men and 1 woman. Their names were Lament, Molly, and Luo. Of the group, Lament and Molly both became undying. Only Luo, this legendary warrior from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, remained stuck at the pinnacle of sector lords. However, he was known to be invincible amongst the sector lords. Ever since about 100,000 years ago, he vanished within the Black Dragon Mountain Starfield, and no one ever saw him again. No one knew whether this 3rd founder was alive or dead. Is from our Black Dragon Mountain Starfield? This question revealed this head general, the founding member from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. The 3 founding members all came from different starfields. And the one from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire was Luo. Do you have this punk's information? The old man said, yes. Jiang Qianchen replied respectfully, very quickly sourcing out the information, and said softly, his name is Hong, he is close to the other 2 youths, Luofeng and Thunder God. Their rough information, they should be Earth's aboriginals from our empire's Milky Way galaxy. Aboriginals? The old man's eyebrows creased slightly. Right, however, this is a conjecture from our Three Axe Mountain Information Department. Jiang Qianchen said, also, Hong, Luofeng and Thunder God all took part in this time's genius battle, and the most outstanding isn't even Hong, it's Luofeng. There's one even more outstanding. The old man revealed a shocked expression. Yes. That Thunder God ranked 5,128 in the elimination, Hong was ranked 982, Luofeng was ranked 51. Jiang Qianchen said respectfully. The old man slightly nodded, looking at the screen before him that was broadcasting the arena war. He said shocked, this Hong, in this critical time he actually broke through, his domain actually rose from level 6 to 7, oh, that lady unleashed her strength. What powerful blade techniques, continuous and unrelenting, heavy and powerful, that Hong cannot withstand it anymore. Oh, what a pity, he still died. There's no way around it, the difference in power was simply too much. Jiang Qianchen was quite shocked. Head General Luo rarely ever spoke so much, right now it seemed as though he really cared for this Hong. Luo. There was a legend in the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, even the two sacred lands Black Dragon Mountain and Ice Leviathan, the two god leaders would show respect to Luo. Firstly, Luo's two life or death buddies were undying. Secondly, Luo was indeed very strong. Jiang Qianchen's reputation was mostly only within the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Luo, however, had a reputation enough to even make the million sector lords in the Ganwu universe country respect him. If not for him getting distracted and working on the time origin laws, he probably would have become an undying long ago. Sigh. Jiang Qianchen looked at the old man before him, the elder Luo that led him by hand before, was sighing endlessly. Is this life? The head general has changed his mind, not being over-ambitious like before, wanting to perfect his light origin laws and break through to the undying. However, he met with that unexpected calamity, getting stuck for over 800,000 years. Wasting the final most important bit of time, there's only 20,000 years until he reaches the limit. Lord, how can you punish the head general this way? Jiang Qianchen had a bitter taste in his mouth. Of the three founders, Luo was the most exceptional back then, and also the most ambitious. Man was helpless to the hands of fate. The 161st group of the 1,000 arena war groups, the battle was over. The spectators let sighs. Sitting in the stands with the other Earth people, watching Hong's body within the arena, they felt helpless. He still lost. Thunder God shook his head helplessly. The opponent was indeed too strong. Luofeng shook his head, feeling some of the origin laws, one's strength will have an absolute change. Even though Big Brother lost rightfully, it's still a pity. Yes, a pity. Hong had indeed done very well, even to the point of staying to the last 20 or so. However, he was killed by that lady warrior's ultimate move. Let's go, return home. Luofeng stood up. 30. It's all up to you now. Of the three from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire that made it through the elimination, only you are left. Thunder God stood up, saying softly, just me? Luofeng's ears moved. He could hear the discussions around him. This region was filled with over 1 million from the Black Dragon Mountain starfield. Obviously, Naibi's and Hong's straight failures had left the trillions of citizens in the Black Dragon Mountain starfield sullen. Right now, all their hopes were transferred to Luofeng. Luofeng will definitely win, right? He made it to rank 51 in the elimination. This arena war will definitely be an easy win. Luofeng is our empire's most powerful genius. Luofeng is definitely hiding his true strength. His true strength must be even more powerful than his ranking. His sudden jump in the later parts of the first stage proves that he wasn't even giving it his all. Only towards the back did he begin to gain points. If he had started right from the beginning, he definitely had the possibility of rushing to the top 10 in his world, even the top 3. Well said, just like that. Tomorrow Luofeng will take part in the arena war. I've already bought my ticket. Luofeng will definitely wipe them all out. Wipe them out. Many Black Dragon Mountain Empire citizens who wouldn't accept the losses were discussing. After all, the one they had the most hopes on from the beginning had always been Luofeng. Third brother, I've lost. You have to work hard. Hong said so. 30, do as you deem fit. Thunder God said, even I can make it to such high ranks in the virtual games. My daddy is the strongest, is definitely the strongest in the Ganwu universe. Little Hai said. Luofeng, work hard, our entire Black Dragon Mountain Empire's countless citizens are watching you. This was what the Black Dragon Mountain Empire's emperor had said to him over the phone. Luofeng. 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 Luofeng will definitely succeed. He'll definitely win. Definitely win. The entire Black Dragon Mountain Island, almost all of its citizens, the over 1 trillion citizens on the island cheered and roared through the night, some in bars, while others in plazas and public gatherings, hundreds of thousands to even millions of people gathering to watch the broadcasts. Luofeng, the only Black Dragon Mountain Empire citizen left within the genius battle. If he won, he would become the pride of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Madness. Luofeng felt a stifling atmosphere. Daddy, the virtual games I play even have country wars. Our Black Dragon Mountain Empire against the other empires, Little Hai, that's a virtual game. Shushin laughed and said, your dad is doing the real thing, to rank number 1 in a starfield, even in the virtual game I am still an absolute warrior. Little Hai said, a silent Luofeng finally looked shocked at his son. What game are you playing? A war-related game. Little Hai chuckled. Night passed and the day began. Even though countless from the Black Dragon Mountain star field were about to come to the arena and begin the madness, Luofeng himself was standing alone in the wilderness of Earth, on a skyscraper's balcony in a dilapidated city, quietly sitting there. A group of flying-type beasts, the blood crows, flew high above. In this dilapidated city, beast sightings were common, only occasionally seeing human fighter tracks. However, Luofeng didn't suppress and naturally unleashed all of his willpower and aura. Naturally, all the beasts and human fighters didn't even dare to get close to him. Quietly sitting on the balcony for a while, Luofeng was controlling his mental state. According to the teachings of his first and second brother, whether it was yoga or martial arts, they both heavily emphasized one's mental state. Training of the mind was very important. However, in the universe there wasn't anyone who talked about training the mind. One's mental state may seem very trivial, without much effect on one's battle ability at all. No matter how strong a normal human of Earth's mental state was, a universe-level warrior could easily turn him to dust. Exploding in rage, at times it allowed one to break past his limits and unleash more strength. However, they may also cause one to lose his form. This was mental state. According to his brothers, from what they saw, the reason why both of them could have their domains at Star Traveler level was linked to their mental states. Thunder God could in an instant enter absolute peace, becoming one with nature, fusing with the elements. Hong Tu could in an instant become completely void, blending with his surroundings, combining all his senses, domains, and other things together to unleash his greatest strength. Thunder God and Hong took decades of training to reach that level of mental calmness. Luofeng couldn't do it, emptying the mind and soul. I can't do it. Because I'm under the influence of the Golden Horned Beast's bloodline, I'm constantly filled with killing intent. This is something deep in my bones. However, second brother is right, whether it's rage, hurt, happiness, excitement, killing intent, they are all natural reactions. Maintaining a pure mind, everything will happen naturally. When it's time to laugh, I'll laugh. When it's time to rage, I'll rage. Luofeng thought, wanting to kill too is a naturally thing. With a pure mind, I'll face it and accept it. Naturally, I'll be able to reach a point of pureness where all the elements will blend together. Luofeng understood the theory. However, when the killings really happen, Luofeng could at most maintain an ice-cold state, without any rippling. As for pureness, blending with nature, that was very difficult indeed. Luofeng, the arena war is about to start, you should enter the virtual universe. Phew. Luofeng opened his eyes, his gaze cold. Not suppressing his killing intent anymore, naturally releasing it. Looks like you are different, as the meditation helped. Luofeng didn't answer, saying directly, connect to the virtual universe. Virtual universe, in the space where there were many dojos located, island number 29109, there was a dojo and in its preparation room, geniuses sat in chairs, all ready to slaughter. All of them were absolute warriors. A black-haired man in a dark grey armor appeared from thin air. In the preparation room, the geniuses all turned to look. This black-haired man surveyed his surroundings and glanced at them, not speaking a word, immediately finding a seat and sitting down, closing his eyes, calming his mind, awaiting the battle to begin. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.